Elden Ring is a massive game that features about 2 games worth of content, so it might come as a surprise to discover that stuff was actually cut out of it. Oh, why couldn't they have cut this? But it turns out that plenty of stuff was cut from the finished version of Elden Ring, and thanks to industrious data miners, we know exactly what it was. Watch on, ye tarnished, for 6 things that got cut, and no, I'm not talking about my face and body by large swords. You can take that for granted.
Greetings, great champion called by grace. I am Fia. Circumstances have compelled my stay at the Round Table Hold.
If you played Elden Ring, you may remember the character of Fia. She's the deathbed companion who hangs around the Round Table Hold, giving out free hugs.
You are very warm.
Fia wears a set of armour known as the Deathbed set, which you can find for yourself later in the game. This set is actually just one piece, the Deathbed dress, but it used to be significantly more extensive in that it included underwear, specifically a skimpy pair of briefs known as the Deathbed Smalls that it is speculated were cut from the game for being too risque. This forbidden underwear does still exist in the game's code, however, as players have managed to snag the Deathbed Smalls for themselves by using a cheat engine. So far, so video games. But it gets worse because now, unscrupulous players are using the Deathbed Smalls to troll other players by invading their worlds, dropping the pants, and then waiting for the host player to pick them up, at which point the game will decide they must have cheated to get them and soft bans them, meaning they have to play offline or online with other cheaters for 180 days. The lesson, I guess, is don't pick up underwear you find on the floor. Pretty good advice generally, that. Slightly more substantial than a non-substantial pair of pants, here we have an entire questline that was cut from the game involving you gathering your enemies' dreams. Discovered by modder Lance McDonald, this questline was to involve you having to find the equipment needed to collect dreams from sleeping enemies like wolves and land octopuses. Once you'd collected their dream mist, as the game called it, you'd then take it to a monk and receive a collectible called Dream Brew that would make other characters tell you their secrets. Hopefully that didn't include Dung Eater, I know quite enough about him already, thanks.
Kill you.
From the looks of it, this was to be a pretty significant questline involving the monk, which, I mean, they left another questline involving a monk in the game, and that was just this guy pointing at stuff and saying nothing. I've got to imagine the Dream Brew quest would have been better than this.
Such that we not disturb the great master's cogitation.
Yes, fascinating. Elden Ring is a tough game right up until the point where you get the Mimic tier and can sit back and let it do all the hard work for you. Yeah, just shout when you're done. Cheers. But the Mimic tier, or a character very much like them, was set to be an even more prominent feature in Elden Ring, according to some cut content discovered by YouTuber Nullrinn. This cut quest revolved around a character called Asimi, who was essentially a sentient Mimic tier who asks you to take them with you to the Eternal Cities, where they would then ask you to retrieve 2 chalices for them, both of which were also cut from the finished game. What happens next is unknown, but check out Nullrinn's video for speculation, including the idea that Asimi would have grown into an exact clone of the player character, leading to a showdown much like the Mimic tier boss fight in the actual game, with as high a probability of you getting your ass kicked as well, no doubt. If you play Elden Ring anything like the way we do, you spend most of your time trying to get as far away from its various monsters as possible. However, if, unlike us, you like all these monsters and want to learn more about them, then bad news! It looks a lot like the game was intended to have a bestiary feature that would allow you to catalogue your foes. Twitter user Jester Patches discovered in the game's files 128 icons representing different NPCs and enemies that could be found throughout the game. Each NPC had 2 icons, one normal, one greyed out, which likely was meant to represent whether these characters had been discovered yet or not. It's not clear why this was cut from the game, or even if a bestiary is what it was supposed to be in the first place, but whatever it was, it looks like it was intended to help you keep track of things and make things easier. So, I mean, that's probably why From Software cut it, right? Plus, to be honest, if it means I don't have to look at any more pictures of these hand spiders, I'm good.
Greetings, traveller from beyond the fog.
One of the few nice things that happens to you in Elden Ring is right at the start, where a nice lady shows up and gives you a free horse.
It will summon a spectral steed named Torrent. Torrent has chosen you.
This horse, named Torrent, is great, letting you get around the place quickly, double jump to reach hard platforms, and have an excuse for why you died when you're dicking around on cliff edges. Ah man, dang horse controls. But Torrent was almost even more useful according to YouTuber Zullie the Witch, who, like so many others, has spent a lot of time recently tinkering around in Elden Ring's code. In that code, Zullie discovered animations that seem to suggest that Torrent used to be able to exist independently of the player, instead of just magically appearing when summoned and disappearing when dismissed. These animations included Torrent shaking its head, eating grass, and, most interestingly, kicking his legs out backwards, an offensive move that would have been able to launch smaller enemies into the air. Of course, you can attack from Torrent in the finished version of the game, but being able to have him wander off and hoof people would have been cool too. Just not near any cliff edges, please. Most of the wide open world of Elden Ring is free for you to explore, as long as you're willing to be smashed flat by angry giants in the process. However, there are 3 noticeable semicircular buildings on the map that you can't access, but that definitely look like they should be significant. Well, thanks to modders like Garden of Eyes, we know that these structures are actually fully modelled region-specific Coliseums, with elevators, seating, and plenty of space to get your fight on. Currently, we don't know if this is actually cut content or if it's just biding its time until it's revealed fully in a DLC drop later on, but the idea of PvP Colosseum fights with actual real-life players as spectators is one we're very sad isn't in the game itself. Although, losing at PvP is going to be even more humiliating with an audience. Just saying. So those were 6 things that were cut from Elden Ring, discovered by industrious modders and data miners. For a more in-depth look, check out the original videos linked in the description, and let us know in the comments which one you most wish made it into the final game. Thanks for watching, be sure to subscribe for more videos like this, and we'll see you next time on Outside Xbox.